Eh? Very interesting. Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were there. My name is Dr. Catel. Welcome to episode 2 of Basic Nigerian History. Now, in this episode, what we're going to talk about are empires in the area that eventually became Nigeria. Before we talk about those empires, let's take a step back and talk about the empires that influenced those empires. Empires like Mali, Kanem, Songhai, and Ghana. Today we're going to talk about Mali Empire. Mali is known primarily by 3 different sources, and books are written on the Mali Empire, books such as the Tariq-e-Sudan and the Tariq-el-Fatah. So, the beginning, here we go. The Mandinka kingdoms, Mali and the Manden states, existed within the huge Wagadou Empire. Now, Wagadou is another word for Ghana. The Wagadou Empire and the Ghana Empire are the same things, but for the purposes of this episode, we're going to call it the Wagadou Empire. Now, this state existed within the Wagadou Empire when it was lush and big and enjoying. But eventually, the empire crumbles, like all empires crumbled. Some people say it crumbled due to infighting. Other people say it crumbled because of invasion from the Almoravids. Whatever, that one doesn't matter. We're not here to talk about the Ghana Empire today. Today we're here to talk about Mali. All we need to know is that it crumbled. When it crumbled, there was a big gap of power in that area. So, obviously, people will try and rush to fill it. This is where the Soso kingdom of the Kaniaga came into play. The Soso kingdom of the Kaniaga was led by a Fulani leader called Sumanguru, or Sumanguru, depending on who you ask. But for the purposes of this episode, let's just say Sumanguru. Now, Sumanguru tried to fill in the gap of the Ghana Empire. However, he wasn't very successful because his kingdom, the Kaniaga kingdom, was not as powerful as the Ghana kingdom, which means they couldn't secure all the trading routes, and it made things very difficult for trading, and it was a very bad time economically for that whole area. In addition to that, there was also the fact that Sumanguru himself was an oppressive leader, and the Manden people didn't really like him at all. Like, the Mandinka kingdoms felt like he was just oppressing them. Now, enter Sundjata, the hero of the Mali people. Let me tell you guys a quick story about Sundjata. Sundjata was the son of the king of Niani. Niani is a city-state in the Mandinka kingdoms. It's one of those Manden states. He was prophesied to be a great ruler from birth. But the thing is, apparently he had a very slow development. Some accounts even said he couldn't walk all the way till he was 7. Sundjata's father had multiple wives, but his father's first wife wanted her son on the throne, so she found a way to get him exiled out of the city. Now, Sundjata was exiled and he had to go spend time at other courts. He spent time at the Wagadou court because even though the Wagadou Empire had crumbled, this Wagadou city-state was still remaining. So he spent time at the Wagadou court, he spent time at the Mema court and all these places. In the meantime, Sumanguru of the Kaniaga people decided it's time to attack Niani. He said, Niani, I'm coming for you. Trouble was coming, Wahala was coming. The guy that they put on the throne, the guy that his mother put on the throne, he was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? He was very scared. So, legend goes, the people went over to where Sundjata was, went to go and find him. They said, Sundjata, please, we need your help. Come and save us from this evil Sumanguru. Sundjata said, no worries, I'm coming. So he came with the armies of Mema, with the armies of Wagadou, and with the armies of any remaining rebellious Mandinka states to face Sumanguru and his army. They fought at the Battle of Kirina, and Sundjata won. The Manden Kurufaba Alliance was created, which was basically made up of the 3 nuclear states, Mali, Wagadou, Mema, and the 12 Doors of Mali. The 12 Doors of Mali basically mean other territories that they conquered or were allied with them during the battle. So yes, this was the Manden Kurufaba. It was created and Sundjata was crowned Mansa. Now, all the leaders of those 12 Doors of Mali, the kings, the previous kings, they gave up their kingship and they became known as Farbas. What does Farbas mean? I hear you say. Farbas means great Farin, which basically means great commander, because Farin means commander. So they became known as the great commanders of their area, and they swore their loyalty to Sundjata the Mansa. And Mansa means emperor, so they swore their loyalty to the emperor. They were basically like bannermen to Sundjata. Now, After the Battle of Quina, this is when Sundjata's commanders and eventual successors kept growing the empire. They just kept growing it and growing it and growing it. By the time they were done, the peak of the empire was 1,000 miles east to west, with its borders being the Niger River and the Senegal River. It also covered approximately 1,100,000 kilometers squared worth of land. This empire was very, very massive. It had over 400 towns, villages and cities inside of it. I can even tell you the modern day countries that were contained inside this Mali empire, just to give you an idea of how big it was. The modern day countries were Senegal, southern Mauritania, northern Burkina Faso, Mali, western Niger, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, the Ivory Coast, and of course northern Ghana. So this is a lot of countries that were combined inside this empire. That's how massive the empire was. And like any empire, the Mali empire flourished on trade. There was a lot of trade going on. They traded in all kinds of stuff. They traded in copper, they traded in gold, leather, salt, you name it, they traded it. They traded a lot of things. But the main thing for them was gold and salt. Let's talk about gold. Mali had 3 large gold reserves. At the beginning of the 14th century, half of the world's gold exports was coming from Mali. Can you imagine that? That's a lot of gold. Another main thing they traded in was salt. They had salt mines as well. So they had large gold mines and large salt mines. To further help the Mali Empire, they were very close to the Sahelian border, which meant they could trade with the North Africans and the Arab states. It was a lot easier for them to reach those people, and that's exactly what they did. Now, their military was massive by accounts. There was an account that they had over 100,000 men, with 10,000 of them being cavalry. So they were militarily strong, economically well off. If you read Ibn Khaldun's accounts, you realize that there was also no tribalistic system in Mali. The sons took the names of the mother's brother, and the son didn't inherit from the father. Instead, the nephew inherited from the uncle. That's how the system was set up. And it worked very well. In fact, Ibn Khaldun was surprised by it. He was like, matriarchal system? I've never seen this before. The only other place I've seen this is with the Indian people. And of course, because the empire had grown so big, they eventually had to change their governing structure. The Manden-Kurfoba alliance that they did wouldn't work anymore. It was too simple for such a large empire. So they had a structure that became even more complicated. We know this because we have records of all kinds of ministers happening. Let me give you an example of the ministers that they had back in those days. They had the Hari farmer, which was the fishing minister. It was his job to look after fishing on the Niger River and control it and make sure everything is according to plan. They also had the Sao farmer, and it was his job to look after the forest of the empire. He was like the forest minister. Make sure the forest of the empire is intact and we have everything we need and no one is trespassing. Then we had the Babili farmer. The Babili farmer was an agricultural minister. It was his job to control and look after the agriculture of the empire. And finally, we had the Kalisi farmer. For all you Game of Thrones fans out there, this is for you. The Kalisi farmer was the finance minister. And that's it for this episode. Just to recap, what did we talk about in this episode? We talk about the beginning of the Mali Empire. We talk about the Sundjata Legend. We talk about the trade in the Mali Empire, the strength of the Mali Empire, how big the Mali Empire was, and different complicated governing structures that the Mali Empire had. Next episode, we're going to talk about one significant character from the Mali Empire, Mansa Musa, and of course we're going to talk about the Mali Empire's downfall, because like all empires, they fall. Okay, yes, that's it all. So if you've enjoyed or learned something from this episode, please be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. You know, the more subscription we get, the better it is for us. The more subscription we get, the better it is for you, because it means we can keep releasing more videos for you. If you like it, do what you do. Do what you do. No, I'm a doctor. I don't say that. Anyways, I love you. I appreciate all of you. I love you and I appreciate you. Just please help us subscribe. Thank you. Bye.